After finishing 1-6 in their last 7 games and missing the playoffs for the third straight season, fans expected some changes to the Redskins coaching staff. Jay Gruden will remain as head coach, but now it sounds like things are moving on the defensive side of the ball. The Redskins met with former Jets head coach Todd Bowles earlier this week, NFL Network's Mike Garafolo reported. The meeting did not focus on any specific jobs, but was more touching base. Bowles played with the Redskins and won a Super Bowl with the team in 1987. He's also expected to be the top candidate to run the defense in Tampa if Bruce Arians gets hired as the Bucs head coach, which seems like will happen before the end of the week. The bigger question might be if Bowles is meeting with Redskins officials. What does that mean for Greg Manuski, the current defensive coordinator? Bowles is not coming to Washington to discuss being a position coach. Might that mean Manuski is already out? It seems like that's already the case with defensive backs coach Torian Gray. Broncos DC Joe Woods has received interest as DB coach from Jacksonville and Washington, per sources, but again Elway hanging on to his ASST coaches for new HC to evaluate. Woods could stay even he may not have defensive play calling responsibility. And Garafolo wrote on Twitter that it seems Gray is already out with the Redskins, so if Washington is reaching out to a new secondary coach, and holding meetings with probably the hottest defensive coordinator possibility on the market, it seems fair to suggest the Redskins are in the process of rebuilding their defensive coaching staff. None of that is official, because frankly, that's not how the Redskins work. Whether or not these moves need to be made is a different debate. For much of the first half of the year, the Redskins' defense looked like one of the strongest groups in the NFL. Things fell apart in the second half of the year, however, and players began calling out coaching schemes and strategy. That didn't help Manuski or Gray. If Bowles goes to Tampa with Arians, the Redskins will still have options if they elect to hire a new coordinator. Maybe the reason the meeting with Bowles didn't include specific job prospects was that the team didn't want to be rebuffed by their former player. Steve Wilks might move to the top of the Redskins list. If 1. Manuski is fired and 2. Bowles goes to Tampa. Other things could happen, too. Marvin Lewis 2.0. Not much is concrete, but it sure seems like the foundation for Manuski and Gray is very shaky. Whether they know it or not. More Redskins news. There are plenty of numbers that, on their own, would make you think that Jordan Reed had a strong 2018 season. For example, Reed suited up for 13 of 16 Redskins games this season, tying a career high for his most action as a pro. That is a terrific sign for a guy who's been labeled as injury-prone the bulk of his career. The tight end hauled in 54 catches in those appearances. Meanwhile, that put him at a solid average of more than 4 per contest, was good enough to lead all Skins pass catchers by 10 grabs and tied him for no. 10 in the league at his position, and finally, he posted 10.3 yards per catch, which is right in line with what he's done throughout his 6 years in Washington. So, after looking at all of that, why does it still feel like no? 86 came up well short of expectations for the burgundy and gold. Well, there's another number that explains why. Before 2018, Reed's worst catch percentage was 74.2%, which came in 2016. Overall, 76.2% of his targets ended up as receptions from 2013 to 2017. In 2018, however, he caught just 64.3% of throws that went his way, by far his worst ever output. Certainly, it's a stat that lends credence to the thought that Alex Smith and Reed just couldn't find a rhythm between each other before Smith went down with his broken leg. In fact, Reed's catch rate equaled our top 75% just twice in his 10 games when paired with Smith, weeks 1 and 2, weirdly enough. By comparison, he made it to that mark in each of the 2 matchups after Smith's injury before he himself suffered a season-ending injury in Week 14. Now, there are essentially 2 ways to process all of this information. The first, and significantly more positive, way is to point to Reed's lack of work at training camp and lack of connection with Smith and conclude that the entire campaign was one big aberration. He should be a full go in upcoming off-season work and training camp, which should help him return to his usual catch percentage. Guys who miss those opportunities to get better and stronger sometimes struggle throughout the course of the year, but having that will be beneficial to him, Gruden said of Reed in December when the Redskins placed him on IR. The other, and far darker, way is to believe that the constant lower body issues that have plagued the 28-year-old are starting to catch up to him and beginning to sap him of his innate ability to get open. Could this be who Reed will become as he gets older, and should the franchise move on before he gets worse? Gruden, for one, doesn't believe so. Jordan Reed wasn't Jordan Reed in 2018, but Jay Gruden still understands how important the tight end is to them. He is a dynamic player, a great athlete, works extremely hard, a great kid, never late, and he's a big part of the success of this football team moving forward. In my opinion, when he's fully right, Reed really is a difference maker, like Gruden said, and the Redskins don't boast many of those on their roster. Therefore, hoping that 2018 was an anomaly and keeping him around for 2019 is probably the way to go. With that being said, it's fair to be concerned about the steep drop in such a key statistical area for a receiver. As Gruden detailed, tight ends that get open against all types of coverage are very difficult to acquire, but does Reed still qualify as one of those players? More Redskins news. All discussions of the Redskins' 2019 salary cap situation must be framed by the $20 million the team owes QB Alex Smith. If Smith was healthy, the number would be normal for a starting quarterback. In fact, as quarterback salaries skyrocket, $20 million for a healthy Smith might have been advantageous for Washington, but Smith isn't healthy, and his $20 million cap number is going to be a problem. It seems highly unlikely Smith plays in 2019, and that means the Redskins' highest-paid player will be a drain on the team's salary cap. To stay competitive, Bruce Allen and the Redskins front office might need to create more cap space, and that could mean cutting other expensive players. Who could that be? Let's take a look at 5 possible spots. Josh Norman. 2019 cap number, $14.5 million. In 2016, Norman signed the richest ever contract for a cornerback at 5 years, $75 million. The deal include guaranteed money for the first 3 seasons, but in 2019, the guarantees are done. Washington could release Norman in 2019 and save $8.5 million against the cap, but that would come with a $6 million dead money hit. In 2020, the numbers tilt more favorably in Washington's favor. The Redskins could release Norman and take a $3 million dead money hit while saving $12.5 million against the cap. Norman forced 7 turnovers in 2018, and the team could use him next year on a defense that will have to carry the load. Jordan Reed. 2019 cap number, $9.6 million. There is no guaranteed money left on Reed's contract, and releasing him would bring a $3.6 million dead money hit against $6 million in salary cap savings. The money doesn't demand that Red get cut, but questions about his subpar 2018 season might add to the discussion. Reed played 13 games for the first time since 2015, but managed only 558 receiving yards with just 2 touchdowns. The Redskins expect more out of Red and pay him to deliver like a top 5 tight end in the NFL, like he showed in 2015 and 2016. This might not be the wise time to cut Reed, as he should be fully healthy for 2019 off-season work and could be a great option for Colt McCoy or whatever QB ends up starting for the Redskins this fall. Zach Brown. 2019 cap number, $8.75 million. Last season, keeping Brown was the Redskins' biggest priority on defense. The team kept their star linebacker with a 3-year, $21 million deal in free agency, but only the 2018 season carried guaranteed money. A tackling machine in 2017, Brown fell off in 2018, not getting to 100 tackles after 2 straight seasons hitting that number. Part of it was playing through injury, but it also seemed like frustrations boiled up. Washington benched Brown late in the year in favor of rookie Shaundion Hamilton, and now Brown could be on the wrong side of the Redskins' ledger. To cut Brown would cost $3 million in dead money but would account for $5.75 million in cap savings. Vernon Davis' 2019 cap number, $6.3 million, when the Redskins agreed to a 3-year, $15 million contract with Davis in 2016. Details of the deal revealed that the 2019 season would probably never happen. There is no guaranteed money due this year, and to release Davis would bring a $1 million dead money hit while saving Washington $5 million against the salary cap. A 14-year NFL veteran, Davis has been really good for the Redskins. He's a model citizen and teammate, a relentless worker and one of the nicest guys in the locker room. For 2 seasons in 2016 and 2017, Davis was also quite productive on the field. Totaled more than 1,000 receiving yards in those 2 seasons and had more than 40 catches both years. In 2018, the numbers dropped. He grabbed just 25 passes and logged 367 receiving yards. Davis has been great, but the dollars might not add up for him to stay in Washington. Alex Smith 2019 cap number, $20.4 million. This is highly improbable, but worth mentioning. If the Redskins don't believe Smith will ever return to play football after the violent, broken leg injury he sustained in Week 10, maybe the team elects to release Smith. It would come with a massive salary cap penalty, north of $40 million, but then the team would be out from the Smith contract and he would not hinder the organization's salary cap in the 2020 and 2021 seasons. A move like this would be quite unconventional, but at least it would be over. Again, this is highly unlikely. More Redskins news.